Swipe Up, episode 241, the podcast where I share my unfiltered thoughts on the latest news and entertainment updates. I'm your host, Ray Taylor. Loudoun County, Virginia, principal discovers middle school students created fight clubs and taking bets. A middle school fight club was discovered in Loudoun County, Virginia, with organized fights, betting, and promotion on social media. The principal of Lunsford Middle School. Is it Lunsford? It's in Loudoun County, but Lunsford Middle School is the school. Sent a message to parents about the fight clubs, noting that some parents were aware and even hosted fights in their garages and basements. It's like, what are we doing? Like, you can't pretend to care about kids, but then have no problem putting them to work and have no problem with them being in fight clubs. Like, you're not creating young men by forcing them to fight. That is not what you're doing. It is absolutely ridiculous. And it's completely different than putting your child into like a martial arts class where they're learning discipline and they are sparring in controlled situations. Doing this thing is not, you're not, and I'm sure in the minds of these delusional people who are allowing their kids to do this, they think that they're creating men. And what they're actually creating is children with brain damage. And they're teaching their children to fight and to be violent because they're not getting the discipline that they would get if they actually learned a martial art. They're not actually learning to fight. They're not learning technique. They're not learning discipline. They're not learning to become a man. They're learning to become a mindless moron, the same as their parents that can somehow justify this behavior. The violence started to affect the school campus, promoting action from the school officials. I mean, and not to mention, like, what you want to teach kids to, like, solve issues with violence. Do you know what's going on in schools? Do you know that, like, promoting violence as a means to solve your issues is the reason why kids are being slaughtered so regularly? Because we live in a country where if somebody wants to be violent, they don't have to rely on throwing punches because the government protects the manufacturing of tools specifically designed to end life. I mean, in my comments, like I said, beginning of this, in my comments, I called Fragile for throwing out insults behind a burner account. And they mentioned that if I saw them in person and they had their gun, I wouldn't be so brave. Which, by the way, actually still kind of enforces my thought of you being a coward. That you would need to resort to using a gun. And it doesn't make me afraid of you. It makes me afraid of the coward that has the gun. Because the gun doesn't make the coward brave. The gun makes the coward capable of murder with just having to curl their finger. That's not bravery. You're not fighting a battle if you can just do this. That's like somebody who got like cheat codes for a video game pretending like they're good at a video game. You don't know how to handle yourself as an adult if that's what you go to. Violence is the most effortless type of violence, gun violence. And these parents are teaching their kids to solve issues with violence because that will make you a man. It is disgusting. It is disgusting. Because that's not, there's a vast difference between this fight club things that they're putting kids in and putting your kids in jiu-jitsu or taekwondo or karate or Muay Thai, any actual martial art where they have to actually learn technique. They have to be disciplined. They have to practice, right? And they do a lot of training before they even start sparring. And even in those sparring sessions, they're controlled. And even if they go into competition, there are rules, there are refs, there are things at which they can and can't do. They are not fight clubs like this bullshit. By the way, Fight Club, what Tyler Durden was doing was a bad thing for those that are so delusional that think that, like, oh, the anarchy and all that kind of stuff. That's like they got the wrong message out of that movie. Students were creating TikToks and Instagram pages using the school's name to promote the fights, which is just, I mean, shows the awareness of what's going on. But of course, that further crossed the line due to the students' discipline being involved, or the no further information was, so due to the student discipline being involved, no further information was provided by the school district. Of course, they want to cover it up. They don't want that information out. It is unclear, especially if maybe staff was involved as well. It's unclear if the parents involved in hosting the fights could face legal consequences, as the Loudoun County Sheriff Office did not respond to inquiries. Why would the police want to cover up as much as possible? They're lazy. They don't want to do shit. Definitely don't want to help the kids. The school district reaffirmed their commitment to safety and well-being of students and staff, vowing to enhance efforts in fostering a culture of kindness, inclusivity, and affirmation, which, good luck. The school implements a quote-unquote rest day to address the unsafe situation and ensure calm start to the education day. The news article, highlights the need to address outside influences and the importance of parental responsibility in preventing such activities. Yeah, it's insane that a school would need to be, like, responsible for this. Like, first off, yes, the parents involved should be held accountable, like legally accountable. Because it's not like these are organized, like, tournaments in martial arts. These aren't sparring matches. These are just literally underground, in some cases, in basements, fight clubs. Putting your kids to fight each other. Like, you understand, like, people who fight professionally usually leave with a lot of brain damage. And if you don't know proper technique, like, serious things can happen. Like, kids could literally die. But they don't care. They think they're making their kids tougher because there's like this delusional idea that men were different long ago. Which, you look at pictures of men long ago, they were wearing dresses and wigs and makeup, and like they weren't like the whole this whole like delusional idea of like this archetype of a man historically is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Source for that site is which I would imagine, talk to any professional fighter. I'm sure there's going to be a minority of professional fighters that are like, yeah, you got to be tough. You know, I'm sure that gets in there too. But like legitimate martial arts, talk to George St. Pierre, right? Talk to even John Jones, who's had a lot of problems outside of the ring. But he's also, you know, kind of probably had a lot of brain trauma as well. Talk to any like lifelong martial artists and ask them if parents having underground fight clubs is going to build them into a good man. Absolutely ridiculous. Source for that, wjla.com. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Swipe Up. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts and insights on the latest news and entertainment updates. Please join the conversation by leaving a comment or rating on your favorite podcast platform or YouTube. And I remind you again, you don't have to threaten to kill me. Shooting me with a gun only makes you seem more cowardly. I'll see you next Thursday for more unfiltered opinions and fresh perspectives.
New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.